If you've been annoyed with the draft coverage that Caleb Williams has been receiving this year, then you're probably going to hate the amount of time people are going to spend after this year's draft is over talking about Sheduer, Sanders, and Travis Hunter, which both of them right now, at this moment, are projected to be potential top 5 selections in the 2025 NFL draft. And Deion Sanders, on a recent episode on a podcast called $1 Million Worth of Game, really good podcast. If you're into hip hop and things of that realm, go ahead, check it out. He said that certain teams will be off limits when it comes to drafting Shedeur or Travis Hunter next season. He said, I know where I want them to go. There's certain cities where it ain't going to happen. It's going to be a Eli. And of course, there was a lot of backlash and criticism about Deion Sanders making this statement saying, oh, he's trying to be LeVar Ball. Oh, Sheduer Sanders is such a brat. Like, you go to the team that picks you. Like, no. If you feel like Deion Sanders making this comment and suggesting Shedeur to use his leverage of being able to pick the organization he wants to play for, then I really question your knowledge of the game of football. Because if you are Shedeur Sanders, why would you want to go to just any team that has a bad track record of developing quarterbacks and also just isn't good when it comes to building a championship caliber team when your last name is Sanders? If you're Shedeur, if there's any prospect who needs to be super meticulous with who drafts them, it is Sheduer Sanders, because there's a lot that comes with that last name if you're Shedeur. Not only are you the son of Deion Sanders, but you're a quarterback. And the quarterback gets all the praise when things go right and all the blame when things go wrong. If you're Sheduer Sanders, knowing the pressure and the expectations that's going to be bestowed upon you because of your last name, it's super important that you make sure you go to the right franchise that is not only committed to making sure that you become the best player that you possibly can at the next level, but also that you're going to a franchise that's going to be committed to building around you and trying to win championships with you at the helm, like the Cincinnati Bengals were when they drafted Joe Burrow. If Sheduer Sanders ends up getting drafted to a dysfunctional team like the New York Giants or Jets next season and he has a bad career, it's going to be partially due to the situation that he landed up in. And you see what a lot of people who make these arguments about Sheduer Sanders being entitled, he should play for whichever team drafts them. I kind of got to wonder, do you understand that the success of the quarterback position is not just based on how good the QB is, but how good of a situation he lands with? You see, if Lamar Jackson got drafted by the Cleveland Browns or the Jacksonville Jaguars the year he came out in the draft, he probably wouldn't have been as good as what he is now. The fact that he went to one of the best, most respected organizations in the National Football League in Baltimore with the good coaching staff, with the good front office, and stability was a large reason why he's been able to reach his potential. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes was seen as a boom or bust prospect. A lot of quarterbacks that come out of the air raid system don't have a lot of success in the NFL. Kansas City trades up for Mahomes. He sits a year behind Alex Smith, and then all of a sudden, boom, bam, he becomes one of the all-time greats to ever play this game. The situation that you go to has a large impact on determining how good your playing career is going to be. Eli Manning told the Chargers, don't draft me. They drafted him anyway. And then he goes to the Giants, wins 2 Super Bowls. Meanwhile, can you tell me what happened to Phillip Rivers? He didn't say anything about the Chargers not drafting him. He was willing to play for the Chargers, and we saw who was right about the situation. Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. You think of Phillip Rivers, you think of a quarterback who was wasted by an organization that wasn't committed to winning. So definitely Deion Sanders is telling Sheduer Sanders the right things. And if there's anybody who knows how to use their leverage to put themselves in a favorable position to not just succeed but to get paid, it's Deion Sanders. Like, I was watching a documentary on YouTube a while back. And I'm 22. I just turned 22 last week. So I wasn't around where Deion Sanders was actually playing both baseball and football. And when I saw the story how he used the possibility of playing baseball full-time professionally to get more money for his rookie contract, it was really smart, really creative. And he also found a way to get drafted to the team that he wanted to go to. So Deion Sanders is a master at being able to find ways to end up playing for the organization that he wants to play for, as well as getting compensated what he felt he deserved. Deion Sanders was more than just a great entertainer and a great athlete. He also was a pretty savvy businessman. That's something about Deion Sanders that doesn't get talked about enough. The fact that he used both football and baseball as leverage for both sports to get more money from both the MLB and the NFL shows you just how smart and business savvy he is. And if there's anybody who Shedeur Sanders should listen to, it definitely is Deion Sanders. And Shedeur Sanders definitely is going to have the leverage to pick any team he wants to play for. Like, if he would have declared for this year's draft, you guys do know that he would have been the consensus quarterback too, right? He may not be as athletically gifted as what Caleb Williams is, but if you are talking about a quarterback that's NFL ready, that can go through progressions, dissect coverages, and make the right reads, Shedeur Sanders is that guy. He may be one of the quarterbacks that has the highest IQ that I've ever evaluated. I think he's a generational quarterback prospect, not because of the talent, but just because of how good he is at going through reads and progressions. Like, when you watch Shedeur at Colorado last year, you are not watching a college quarterback. Like, you are watching a NFL QB. His opening game last season against TCU, bro, that boy was surgical. I don't get how people can say Shedeur ain't a first round pick. Like, are you crazy? Shedeur isn't a first round pick. Like, do you watch college football? Because he was way more consistent than Drake May. And he is a way more NFL-ready quarterback than what Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix are right now. Like, Shedeur Sanders definitely is going to have all the ammo to pull strings and try to manipulate the team that he ends up going to. If he doesn't want to go to a shitty team with the first pick, then why should he go to a shitty team and have an awful career when he can go to a team of his choosing and have a great career and actually live up to the expectations and hype that comes with that Sanders last name? Like, this is Deion Sanders' son. You talk about rookies that are going to have the most pressure on them as soon as they touch the league. Like, it doesn't get any more than the pressure that Shedeur is going to have on him when he declares for the draft and he gets drafted next year. Like, if we thought Caleb Williams had hella pressure on him this year, Shedeur says, hold my cup. Because when you come from one of the world's most famous athletes, one of the world's most recognizable athletes, Deion Sanders being your pops, you wearing that Sanders last name, like, you're expected to carry on a legacy. Think about it, like, when Deion Sanders is no longer coaching and he isn't, as popular in the public 10 years from now as what he is right now, because he gets older and more coaches come along that more people are engaged with the whatnot, Shedeur Sanders is still going to be keeping that legacy alive. Like, even when Deion Sanders is long and gone, if Shedeur Sanders lives up to the high expectations that comes with having that last name, Deion Sanders' legacy is going to continue to carry on for years to come. Imagine if Shedeur ends up becoming a Hall of Famer. Are you kidding me? Like, if there's anybody who needs to be super decisive with what team they get drafted by, it's Shedeur Sanders, bruh. The pressure is going to be high, the expectations are going to be high, and you're not going to be able to live up to those lofty goals and expectations if you get drafted by a crappy organization. Travis Hunter on the other end, I mean, why wouldn't he use his ability to try to find a way to go to the team he wants to play for. Now, I don't believe that Travis Hunter will have the same kind of pull that Sheduer has, only because Sheduer Sanders is a quarterback, and the quarterback position is pretty much the most important position in the NFL. So therefore, you're going to have a little bit more leverage, a little bit more power to facilitate where you want to go. Meanwhile, for Travis Hunter, although this dude is going to be an incredible prospect, because we've never seen a prospect like this who can play wide receiver and cornerback both at an insanely high level. And he's expected to be a top 5 pick. Shedeur is probably going to be the first or second pick, and he probably goes off the board 2-3 picks after him. Travis Hunter, though, since you're not a quarterback, what really can you tell teams to try to force yourself to go to the team you want to go to? Because they're like, man, you're a wide receiver corner. Like, you're not a quarterback. It's like, okay, like, you don't want us to draft you. Cool, we'll find somebody else. It's like, I don't see how Travis Hunter will have as much leverage as Shedeur to pull a Eli Manning, because I don't think we've ever heard of a non-quarterback prospect saying, oh yeah, like, I refuse to play for this team. Like, I would not play for this franchise. It's just something that doesn't really happen that much, because if you're what's weird about quarterback is that it's the only position that you get so much credit for when your team wins and so much blame when your team struggles, even though it's a team sport, and every quarterback somewhat needs a good situation to thrive. The only difference is that the quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, they can overcome certain limitations. They don't need as much as some of the other quarterbacks in the game. You know, their success is dependent on what they have around them. But if you're Travis Hunter and you play receiver and cornerback, does it really matter what team drafts you? You're playing receiver and cornerback. Like, you could be a great corner or a great receiver on a crappy team. You feel me? Because your success isn't directly tied to the team you have around you. All you need is a quarterback who can throw you the football. Like, hell, DeAndre Hopkins was having consecutive 1,000-yard seasons in Houston before Deshaun arrived with all these random quarterbacks. Tom Savage, Brock Osweiler. So there's been plenty of receivers that have been able to have Hall of Fame caliber careers not playing on good teams. Same thing with cornerback. You know, and even if Travis Hunter does want to play both, it's like, if you want to get drafted by a team that's going to allow you to play both and get significant snaps playing both, that's a different story. But if you're just trying to get drafted to a good organization, a good situation, because you want to be put in a situation to succeed, like, I don't really think you need to pull an Eli. Like, you're going to be playing wide receiver or corner. Your supporting cast isn't going to determine your success. All you need to do is get open, run routes, catch those passes, score those touchdowns, and on the other end, when you're playing cornerback, lock down the opposing team's wide receiver. But for all you guys saying that Deion Sanders is a spoiled brat and he should play for whichever team drafts him, like, I don't want to say you're a fool, but I definitely want to say that you're definitely hella misinformed, and you don't know how this sport functions for real. Because the pressure that Shedeur is going to have is going to be more than we will ever see any rookie quarterback entering the league with. And he isn't even one of those quarterbacks that is insanely talented from an athletic standpoint. You know, he has a decent arm, decent mobility, but what really separates him is his football IQ and the fact that he's already an NFL quarterback pretty much. But the thing with Shedeur Sanders is, you got that last name, all the media attention and the hype and the pressure that's going to be put on you. Yeah, you need to make sure that you go to a franchise that is committed to excellence in a good situation. Because if you go to a team that just doesn't know what they're doing and you get put in a Bryce Young situation, oh my goodness. Imagine if Shedeur Sanders was in the situation that Bryce Young was in last season with the Carolina Panthers. Like, do you guys not know how immense the hate, the scrutiny would be on Shedeur Sanders? So yeah, I agree with Deion Sanders. Shedeur Sanders definitely should pull a Eli. If Travis Hunter wants to do it, I have no problem with it. I feel if you're a draft prospect, you know, why wouldn't you Take it upon yourself to make sure you go to the team that you feel gives you the best chance to succeed. I mean, it is your career at the end of the day. And if you don't want to play for a team, you don't have to play for them, because all you got to do is not sign a contract and you end up getting re-entered back in next year's draft. So if I'm a player, why wouldn't I try to take control of my career and try to go to the team or the franchise I feel is going to put me in the best situation to have a great career?